Today, I would like to introduce you to a rare brand in today's watch scene. Now, not rare as in terms of numbers of watches produced, but rare in terms of what the brand represents and what they offer to us as watch collectors. So the brand is called CarlFBucherer, and this is a brand that has been fully independent and family owned since 1888. And not very many brands on the market can say that they've been independent for such a long amounts of time. Right now, the president is a man named Jörg Bucherer, and he's been in charge since 1976, and he's third gen Bucherer. So I like that. And not only that, but this brand, they represent value. You can buy flyback chronographs for the same price as a Swiss competitor sells a basic chronograph at. You can buy a full gold, a full precious metal watch from CarlFBucherer for the same price that a Swiss brand charges for a two-tone watch. So you get some value. And this brand, they're developing in-house movements. And they're not just developing cool, three-hand movements or slightly complicated movements. No, they are doing, they're doing tourbillon. They're doing minute repeaters. They're doing some really cool stuff. So this is a brand that I can get excited about because they're doing things that I appreciate from a traditional standpoint as a watch collector. And they're also offering that value that I look for as a watch collector. And at the same time, they're an underrated brand, in my opinion, in the United States. They're not super well known. They're not super popular. And I like that because I like those under the radar brands that are really nice, that have the quality, but they don't have the hype associated with them, at least not yet. I'm sure it will take some amount of time before CarlFBucherer becomes a brand that people really know and really respect. So I have a couple watches on loan from them. In fact, they sent me this massive box. Let me show it to you. I've got this big old box here. And I'll unbox it and show you everything that came from CarlFBucherer. I've got two watches that have some peripheral technology with the movement that is something we've got to spend a few minutes talking about. And as I do this, I would like to talk a little bit more about the history of the brand because it's a brand that needs more exposure, in my opinion. So, CarlFBucherer, and here's a picture of him, founded the business in 1888 in Lucerne, Switzerland. He originally made pocket watches and also sold jewelry. And then some years later, in 1926, his son Karl Eduard and Ernst Bucherer began working at the family company. And eventually in 1976, Jörg G. Bucherer, third generation Bucherer, takes over the company. Now, some of you may be familiar with the retailer Bucherer, which is an authorized dealer here in the United States that sells a number of different luxury brands when it comes to watches. And they are a different arm under the same family, under the same umbrella. Again, family owned since 1888, but there's a separate watch brand called CarlFBucherer, which I might refer to as CFB, and that officially split. They're run as separate entities that officially split in 2001. So let's take a closer look, and we'll start with the movement. This is called the CFB A2011 caliber. This will have 33 jewels and a peripheral rotor crafted out of tungsten. So nice and hefty to increase the winding efficiency. So essentially this acts like a standard rotor in an automatic watch, except instead of being affixed to the center of the caliber, it's affixed to the outside edge of the caliber. So it rotates around the outside and winds the mainspring. So it's a little bit thinner than a standard automatic. It's very robust when it comes to shock protection. But in my opinion, the big positive here, the thing that I really like, is the fact that I can see all of the caliber here unobstructed by a rotor. Even if that rotor is skeletonized, it's still covering up part of the item that I really enjoy as a watch collector. So here I see the anglage, I see the striping, I see the gear train, I see the finish, I see the balance, I see all of the items that I like to look at as a watch collector completely unobstructed. So from a technical standpoint, it makes sense, but also from an architectural standpoint, I think it makes even more sense. So I really like what I'm seeing here. This will have 55 hours of power reserve. It will be COSC certified, and it will come outside of the time, right? The hour and minute hand. You have a subsidiary seconds. You have a date up there, a big date by the 11 o'clock position. Over at the 9 o'clock position, there will be a day of the week. And by the 3 o'clock position, there is the power reserve indicator, indicating the amount of those 55 hours of reserve you have left. Now, I like the detail work. I think this comes across pretty cleanly under the ARC Sapphire Crystal. I like the very small or very faint concentric circle texturing or guilloche work done in the subsidiary seconds. And I really like the cleanliness of these Dauphine style hands and how this form is replicated on a miniature level when it comes to the hand for the subsidiary seconds and also the power reserve indicator. And notice how those perfectly match your applied markers for all of the hours. Those are very sharp, very clean. They grab light well. And there's a small detail that I have noticed, and that is the point section is a little bit raised off of the plane of the circular brushed dial. So they actually point upward to a small degree, and I like that little detail. This watch, with its asymmetrical layout, with the very sharp finishing in the movement, the peripheral technology, I think there is a lot to enjoy here. The weight, the finish work, the quality of this bracelet, even this box. This is a nice box. This is the type of box that I would expect if I were to be spending about $9,000 full retail on an in-house watch from an independent Swiss brand, with your carrying pouch here, the addition of the cloth and everything. So I'm intrigued by this brand. I think this has a lot going for it, and I'm excited to go into depth on both of these in the full review. So we have the blue and the olive here, and then we have the anthracite and the green. Two nice combinations from the Manero family from CarlFBucherer. And that being said, let's go ahead and zoom out, turn the camera around, and wrap up this unboxing video. So let's wrap this up. I think in summation, I'm personally intrigued as a watch collector by this independent Swiss brand that's creating original designs. They've got some really great tech. I mean, the peripheral technology just makes a lot of sense to me from an architectural and functional standpoint. And I like the quality. It's apparent. I like the fact that it's at the moment kind of an underrated brand here in the United States. So I'm interested in buying one from this brand, but I'm not sure which model yet. So I'm going to have to dig into that. I am intrigued with these Manero Big Dates, and I understand that later this month, CarlFBucherer will be unveiling some novelties, so I'm looking forward to that as well. Please let me know if you have any specific questions, if there's anything you would like me to specifically cover when I do the full in-depth reviews of these two watches. I want to thank you for watching today. Have a great day, and I'll see you next time.